Hello and welcome to Frontline. I am Obiora Ilo. This past week, Nigeria's security challenges heightened with multiple attacks in Jaji, Abuja, and Edo State. While the attack in Auchi, Edo State was attributed to armed robbery, the one at the church in Jaji and the attack at the Police Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS in Garki, Abuja, were allegedly carried out by Boko Haram. These developments have left many Nigerians worried. Many have argued that if Boko Haram could invade places supposedly as secure as Jaji and SARS Abuja, then no place in Nigeria is safe. If the military and the police are this vulnerable, how can they ensure the safety of the ordinary Nigerian? Some have even said that the security agencies have shown glaring incapacity to contain the Boko Haram insurgency and thus the need for a third way. Since the Nigerian government and her security agencies seem to be losing the war against terror and are increasingly looking helpless in caging this monster, today in our program we are asking, is it not time to look for alternative dispute resolution mechanisms? Is it not time to negotiate with Boko Haram? We'll be speaking with Nigerians on the streets to know their opinion. We'll speak with security experts and alternative dispute resolution practitioners to explore the possibility of a third way in resolving this security nightmare. We'll also be sitting down with one Nigerian, a former governor, who has put himself forward to be the go-between in a possible negotiation between the Nigerian government and Boko Haram, why he chose to do it, and how he intends to go about it. And of course, in our segment, In Your Own Words, we'll feature another Nigerian of repute. Today, we are discussing the security situation in our country. And it's my pleasure to introduce Barrister Mike Ejiofor, a retired director of SSS and chairman, Apex Security and Safety Consultants. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I also have Benro Olajuyibe, who is a human security and in conflict and emergencies manager, and he works for Action Aid. Benro, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And also with us on this program is Obol Patrick Okomioso. He doesn't want to hear that, but he's a former security chief and a public analyst. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, there has been a kind of upsurge in the insurgency that we've been experiencing for a couple of months. Let me start with you, Mike Ejiofor. What do you think is responsible for this upsurge, especially when a few weeks, months ago, we heard that there's a negotiation between government and Boko Haram?
Well, to the undiscerning eyes, you look at it as an upsurge, but I don't quite agree that there's an upsurge. Reasons are, before this time, there has been a law in their activities, but if you say an upsurge in the activities, it's not entirely right. What happened was that two major incidents which attracted public attention is what is bringing this situation up. That's the issue of Jaji and the recent attack on SARS headquarters. Before this time, we have had the general impression of negotiations between government and Boko Haram. These positions actually were not formal until the recent interview when the president said, a chart where he said, government is not negotiating with the Boko Haram because you don't negotiate with a group that has no face. But a lot of Nigerians are taking this out of context That does not mean that the president does not want to negotiate, or the government does not want to negotiate with Boko Haram leaders. But people must come out to say we are leaders. For the intelligence agencies and security forces, yes, there are some of the known leaders. But nobody has come out to say, yes, we are ready to negotiate on behalf of Boko Haram. You also recall that on 3 occasions, in February, August, and November this year, one Alhaji Sheikh Abdulaziz, who claimed to be the number 2 to Shekau, has come out to say that they were ready to negotiate with government. But it has turned out to be that he does not represent the Boko Haram leaders.
Okay. Yeah. Let me come to you, Benro. What Mike said was that the 2 high-profile attacks,
yeah,
and then the president's chat. Do you think that the president's chat fueled what is happening, or it gave a sense of hopelessness? Well, what is the implication of that chat and his pronouncement?
Firstly, let me just say that I don't agree with him that there is no hope such. You have 2 profiles, but you still have other low profile, some unreported, going on daily, especially in the northern part of the country. These are human beings. And if you connect this with what happened recently in Edo, that shows that insecurity, the geography of insecurity. So, having said that, the dynamic of every crisis is determined by the environment. The reaction to that crisis. For example, let me just classically dwell on what the president said recently. The president said openly and publicly that there was no negotiation going on with Boko Haram. And in the context that they are not that they are faceless. Earlier, Ruben Abati submitted, the president media advisor, submitted that there was a form of negotiation going on. Even within the government itself, there is a crisis of common understanding or taking common position. To me, or to average Nigerian, or to conflict analyst, it's a disaster on its own. And let me just tell us this thing, that when the Boko Haram people reach out to the government, or allegedly reached out to the government, to me, it's an option that we wanted dialogue. And this type of talk between the government and the media assistant go back to show that there is no strategy to contain these people or to engage them in the first place. There is no clear one. You talk your own, I talk my own. And understanding, assuming that Abati was right, that there was a form of negotiation, then what were you expecting from Boko Haram if he was right? Especially when the president came out to say that there was no form of negotiation going on, which to me, the box topped on his table, and it was.
So if you said it, that's the situation.
That is the situation. That's what I have to believe.
Okay. Okomiso.
Yes.
I hope I got it right. Would you say that government is not making an effort to engage these people, and that's because someone said to me when the president said, "Oh, we are not negotiating," so they said, "Okay," so they are not taking us seriously. So they wanted to hit harder.
Let me say this with my 2 friends here from what they have said. I think we are making one mistake, all of us in the country. And that common mistake everybody is making is that nobody has been able to ask themselves, what is the cost of this, especially in Nigeria? How did it start all over? And you see, when you have a sore, the only way to cure it is to find out what the cause is. If you get home, your wife has not prepared dinner for you, you should ask yourself a question. Don't bully. Rather ask, what is the problem? What's happening? and you'll be explained to. Two things I looked at. The reason of Boko Haram or whatever incidents we're having in Nigeria or armed robbery is the act of bad government and corruption. That is the cost. But let us look at this at the context. When did it start? How did it happen? Look, anybody, including the 3 or 4 sitting down here with you, who said he doesn't know who Boko Haram is, then he's lying to this country.
It's lying.
He's lying.
So they're not faceless?
They are not faceless. I want to give you an example. I said it the last time I was on your program. Somebody asked a question and I said it. Look, if a man is faceless, he cannot name another man to negotiate for him.
And he cannot even be declared wanted.
Listen, if a man is faceless, just listen to this. He cannot go to the extent of naming a general, a retired 5-star general, not just a general, but and ex-head of state of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So they know people, so people know them. I cannot send you on an errand if I don't know you and if you don't know me. I can't just get to the street and call somebody to go and buy me sugarcane when I don't know him. What if he goes away with my money? But look at this simple scenario. If I want to chase a woman, I must send somebody that I have confidence in and I trust in. So he will go there and represent me well. If you send a man you don't know, he will tear your Jabo certificate, if I will use that in English. But let us go at it at this point. Jonathan inherited a failed system. Nigeria is about 200 million people. The security failure for 1 year is like 20 years backwards. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. There was a period we had no commander-in-chief. Every person was commander-in-chief was in government. So there was no focus, there was no direction. At that point in time, this situation has created. And this situation created in a particular place. Take religion out of this. That is one thing that people are still saying that gets me annoyed. There's no religion in this issue. There's so much intermarriage in Nigeria in the past 16 years. So many Muslim young women married Christians. So many Christians young boys married Muslim. For the past 16 years. Go for 10 marriages in Nigeria this Saturday. You'll find out that 6 are interreligious marriages. So there's nothing religious about it. A lot of Muslims have been killed in the mosque in the north. It's just that it's not being reported. That is the truth about it.
Gentlemen, I think that everybody knows how it all started, where it started. What we don't know is how to solve the problem. Yeah. And I'm going to pose a question to you, gentlemen. Is it time to look for the third way? Is it time to negotiate? Is it time to engage Boko Haram? That's what I think we should be looking at. Yes. If we can't engage them in talking with them, is there other ways we have that want to contain them? I'll come back to you.
Yeah. You see, when Patrick talked about knowing members of Boko Haram, like I said earlier when I started, how did we get to know members of Boko Haram? It's through intelligence gathering that people get to know these are people behind the scene. Until Muhammad was killed, he was a known leader. He came out openly preaching and was a known leader of Boko Haram. Not until he was killed, then these other people went underground. I'm not saying that we don't know them. But for you to say that it's a lie, that we know them. But has anybody come out to say, yes, we are ready to negotiate?
Where would they go to?
Now, listen, let me still make a point. Let me still make a point to what he said.
Let's look at this one. Somebody came and named a person.
Wait,
said,
that's the point.
I want to negotiate, I want this person to negotiate on my behalf. But what I will tell you something. Well, let me say this. Let us get this straight away. I like the question you asked. The question you asked is that, what do we look at the third angle to get this thing solved? We had delayed to have reached out to them. I want to give you a scenario, paint a picture that when Boko Haram problem started, they never killed anybody. They were just there on their own till the police took problems to them. When they came I want you to take this scenario that I'm painting to you very serious. There were 3 police stations closer to where they have their headquarters in Maiduguri. The 3 police stations, they did not attack 2. They went to the one that had problem with them, that killed their member, to attack that police station. I don't know if you followed my point. They followed it. They left the rest 2 police stations. They didn't touch them. They didn't kill any person except those who attacked them. But now let me tell you something. It is only in this country that we see a snake. Instead of killing that snake, we form a committee. By the time committee will sit, NEPA would have taken light. By the time their budget is approved, the snake has hatched 20, 40 people have been bit by the snake. So we have problem. The only way out of this method is to reach out to Boko Haram. If they had named people, get those people, call them. Because they have named you, this is our own team to join with. I agree with whatever you have said.
No, but the man they named said he's not interested.
The rest people have not said they are not interested.
Even anything.
They have not said anything.
No, you know he was making a point. Let's just allow him conclude.
So, you see, like he said, General Buhari was named. And he said, I don't know anything. I will not stand for people I don't know. And so other people. And I'm telling you authoritatively that people fronting to be negotiators of Boko Haram are fake. Security business has become an industry in Nigeria. Anybody can come out to say, well, we are representing this group, go and bring money. And that's why government is not serious with negotiating.
Are you looking at things like all the so-called security infrastructure we have all over Abuja, and I'm told that none is working? Is that the kind of everybody making money from government in the name of security?
That's what I said, that security business is now an industry in Nigeria. People buy all kinds of gadgets and you see all kinds of
people like Shetima Mongono cannot, at that age, at who he is, he said, listen, let us negotiate with them. He was among one of those that was called was named among the 6 or 7 people they are named. And if we all know Mongono's track records, we should understand that he's a man of integrity, honest, and a purposeful human being.
Let me clearly say,
I think he's right.
Let me clearly state that a government cannot begin to operate with victim mentality. I'm saying this, if you look at what drove us into society, which later became the state, is the fear. We did not want to live like animals in what was described as state of hopelessness, where life was nasty, short, and brutish. Then it becomes the responsibility. If somebody have killed over 3,000 of your citizens, and you are saying that they are faceless, what is the responsibility of the state? To unveil those that are carrying out that responsibility. To me, each time the president says that these people are faceless, I see a glaring failure of leadership, glaring failure of commitment to your responsibility to protect your people. You cannot operate like victim when you have all the machineries, the security apparatus to ensure that these people are reached and brought to justice, if that is the one you want to be. Let me give you a classical example of what happened in the US after 2011. Bush did not mince word. He said, we either bring them to justice or we take justice to them. It was clear that they are going to unleash violence.
The line was drawn.
The line was drawn. And we have not done that. You don't assure Nigerians we are dying in hundreds, tens, every day, and you are saying they are faceless and they are killing your people. You either know what you are doing or you don't know what you are doing.
There was something that happened after the attack at the SARS headquarters, and instead of the police telling us what they did and what they did not do, they were doing image laundering. They were telling us that the people that escaped were armed robbers, that they were not Boko Haram. What difference did that make?
Sorry,
let me say something.
Right that to what you have just said. I'm very sorry. Another ridiculous one was the rapidity of police coming out late yesterday to say that those groups that make claim were just looking for diversion. What investigation have they done to reach such conclusion so soon after the attack? To me, I don't want to describe it in a word.
Okay, let me say something, and I think I totally agree with what you are saying, but let me put it this way. I have said here that President Goodluck Jonathan inherited a failed system. And it's like your child. If a child go to school today, you are paying school fees and you are buying him textbooks to go and read. If you don't allow that child to read that textbooks, my dear, there's no way he will not fail the exam. It is not a child that failed the exam. It is you who sent him to school that failed this exam because you are not giving him an opportunity to read. The police force, we all know, we are Nigerians, that for some years now, the police has not been able to live up to the expectations of Nigeria. With one reason, the method of recruitment into our police force is very poor and wrong. So armed robbers join the force. Criminals join the force. And they wear the uniform to perpetuate this criminality.
They equally
now,
join the government.
Now let us let's look at it. Let's look at it as what Lajide is saying. Look, I agree that the security situation had failed, but it did not fail with Jonathan coming in, and it will take a long time.
Patrick, just a minute. You said he inherited a failed system.
Yes.
The job of a president is to fix the system.
Okay,
that's the job.
That is what we should all. That is what we should all. No, that's what we should all talk about.
If you're talking about inheriting a failed system,
yes,
how is he fixing it?
Okay, now let me tell you something. If a system that has failed for about 5 years, the man had only been the president for 1 year, and in this 1 year, a lot of things had been done, even though the results had not come out because it's too early. But I'll tell you what I think. I agree with you.
No, if you have some in-depth knowledge that we don't have, can you share with us?
Okay,
because a lot of Nigerians don't know those things that have been done. They know about the equipment you have everywhere in Abuja and in some other places that are not working.
Let me say this. The president, as I speak, has been trying to put up a team that will be able to get to the root of these issues and see how Nigerian can be called to a table for us to discuss issues that affect our common interests. Now, for a security system that had failed, and for him to come back, he just had an IG. I see the new IG as a very competent police officer, but he came in at a time that the situation has already been deteriorated, so it becomes very well. But the fact about what the police is doing, which is not good, is that not telling Nigerians the truth to enable Nigerians contribute to whatever problem you have.
Because I was speaking to someone who lives in Maiduguri and tells me that very few indigenes of Maiduguri would interface with police to say something happened and all that. Because a bomb is thrown in this neighborhood, and you know that those that threw the bomb had escaped, and you lay siege on the neighborhood, shoot people, and all that. So, how can Nigerians actually want to help the police in solving this problem?
No, I think I have to expand on what is proposing. President Goodluck Jonathan came into power. You recall the circumstances, an acting president, then elected president last year. Our democracy, for now, to the best of my understanding, whether people like it or not, is just 5 years. From 1999 to 2012 is 5 years. Because what we had from 1999 to 2007 wasn't a democracy. I look at it as a military transition. Because the man was there to take action as a military man, as a general who fought war. You know Obasanjo's antecedents.
And maybe he was right, because we didn't have
he does
this,
not
this
have
kind
our
of challenge.
democracy.
Obiora, I want to disagree now. No, just give me 1 minute. I want to give you an example in Russia. There was a Russian president. No, let me give you, because what he's talking. Goodluck Jonathan is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's the CNC. I want to give you an example. There was a Russian president who saw things were not going well in his country. He took a cock, a live cock, and put before his audience, and then started pulling the feathers of the cock. And you know how painful it is. After pulling it out, he left the cock on the ground. And then he took grains and stood by there and was throwing it one by one. The cock with the pain was fighting to eat. And he turned back and looked at the Russian parliament. He said, this is the only way to go with my people, and we will get to the promised land.
But you would have allowed me to finish. You would have allowed me to finish.
To take those steps. He's the commander-in-chief.
You would have allowed me to finish.
Allow Mike to finish.
You would have allowed me to finish.
It seems
from 2007 till when President Goodluck Jonathan became acting president and then president. You know, Yar'Adua of blessed memory, his condition as at that time. So what we are seeing now is damage control over the previous years by building not just individuals, but building institutions, strong institutions. I'll give you an example. People might ask, well, President Goodluck promised he was going to fix life. He has not fixed it. Yes. You know how much it takes. Look at our transmission lines under construction. It takes time. Let me finish. Now, if President Goodluck Jonathan wants to begin to act the way the military people were acting, it will not. I'll give you an example. You see our elections under President Obasanjo. Once you have won an election, you have won an election. Go to the tribunal, it will end there. Could any opposition government, not in a general election, would have won election conducted by PDP-controlled government?
Gentlemen, let's conclude this discussion, and I will ask the question I asked again.
Let me just state this.
Let me ask this question again. Is it time to negotiate, and how should we go about it?
It's time to negotiate, but with who? The graph of this crisis now has extended beyond Boko Haram. Negotiation, you have victims and you have affected people in this crisis.
So what do we do?
They must be brought in so that you don't, what do they say? You don't kill this one and another one will rise.
So we should bring in Boko Haram and the victims.
Let me tell you, the mapping of the crisis itself must be done. And I don't think that the government has that. And one thing, you can't continue to talk about negotiation when there is, what is the structure, what is the strategy? What is the structure you are going to use? And what is the process you are going to use? Because it has to be holistic and it will involve all those that agree. One way or the other, Nigerians are agreed. But specifically this conflict has affected a lot of people, and this prejudice will begin to be deepened. If you negotiation, I'm sorry. Look, you have to define these people, define the actors. What happened in Niger Delta was not a dialogue. Amnesty came. The meaning of amnesty is that the state recognizes that you are criminals and we pardon you. Okay. And that will go a long way to heal some wounds.
Okay, Benro. So let me have your last word, Patrick. The way forward.
The way forward is negotiations. We can reach out to Boko Haram. President Ebele Goodluck Jonathan inherited a first system. We can rebuild it. It's like a broken marriage, can be rebuilt. He's trying his best.
I agree with negotiation, totally. Even though we don't, world over, the practice is that you don't negotiate with terrorists. But because of our peculiar situation, I agree that we should negotiate. But we must put a face to the people negotiating.
Okay, gentlemen.
Government should not continue to lament. I don't want to be hearing at times that president inherited this. When he was coming from to contest election, What was he expecting?
No,
Okay, gentlemen.
Elected to solve problems.
Gentlemen,
I disagree with you on that issue.
No, Patrick, I must thank you. I hope we'll have a part 2 of this program.
Yeah.
I must thank you for your time. Barrister Mike Ejiofor, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I must thank you, Benro Olaji Igwe, thanks for coming. And Obo Patrick Okomioso, I must thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We'll take a break and listen to the views of the ordinary Nigerians on the street. Is it time to negotiate with Boko Haram?
Government should not negotiate with them until they organize themselves and then make appropriate negotiation committee with prominent and people with faces, not faceless, before government could think of talking to.
It's very, very necessary to negotiate with them if they will be able to identify them, to know where they are, to negotiate with them so that we don't have things of Boko Haram will be a part of a things of a part.
No, they shouldn't negotiate with them. There's no basis for the negotiation because federal government. Why should there be any basis? They should take laws into their hands because they are the ones that we are looking up to. There's no point for any negotiation at all.
And to me, dialogue is not bad, but to me they should even don't think about dialogue because one, they're not seeing their faces. Even though government decide to go to kind of their conditions, you know, but if they could be seen, those relatives of those that have attacked will attack them back. One-on-one government should forgive them, but if they are forgiven, ordinary Nigerians will not forgive them.
If you can see them, negotiate with them. But if you can't see them, who do you negotiate with? If you're seeing somebody, you can now sit on a table and talk. What's your problem? What are the issues? And you can agree and disagree where necessary.
If to negotiate with them can bring peace to this country, our president, we voted for him. We knew how he loved this country. We want him to go on that step. If that can bring peace to this country. I think that is my point.
Dr. Ojos Okalo was the former governor of Abia State and former presidential candidate of the PPA. Recently, he offered himself to negotiate with Boko Haram on behalf of the government of Nigeria. I sat down with him at his residence in Abuja to discuss his reason and how he intends to go about this very onerous task. Boko Haram upsurge is gradually becoming uncontrollable. And you had offered in the past to mediate between government and Boko Haram. And I'm asking, why did you make the decision to be an arbiter?
No, to be frank with you, when Boko Haram said they are ready to talk, and nobody was coming up to offer them to talk, I supported Buhari for not going to accept to be involved, because Buhari will be seen like, no matter what you do, if you go with Boko Haram if I'm in his position, the same position he took is what I would like to take. Because he was a presidential candidate against Jonathan. So I believe that Boko Haram issues must be dealt with by eminent Nigerians. And I'm prepared to discuss with them. Because it's a menace that is not going to do anybody any good. I'm a trader. I know the losses I'm incurring. The warehouses all over Nigeria are full because we used to sell a lot of goods into Maiduguri, into Adamawa, into others, Kanu, and all the rest of them. They're not. And people bringing out export produce are not doing that. Moreover, my Igbo brothers and sisters own houses everywhere in the north. And a lot of Southerners live there also. So why? Bombing every day in churches like Catholic Church and other churches, is it the right thing to do? So we must talk with them. I'm not ashamed in going to talk with them. I'll be very proud to talk with them. I'm very proud for government to give them amnesty like they gave to other people. I'll be very proud for this menace to stop. because it's not doing us any good. Investors are not coming in here again. Business in the northern Nigeria are totally stopped, and other areas are benefiting from it. It's not good. I mean, I will be very willing to do that.
The president says it is hard to discuss with Boko Haram because they are faceless.
It's not true. The people have called their names and said where they want to discuss with. They should discuss. If it's in Saudi Arabia, I'll be very willing to go. Boko Haram, they just mentioned their names.
Are you going to commit your resources to do that? Or will you be expecting government to...
No, at my cost. Anywhere they call for the meeting, I will go at my cost. I said it before.
Well, for you to be an arbiter, for you to make peace, for you to negotiate, you have to understand what the problem is.
They will say what the problem is.
No, but as a Nigerian, what do you think is the reason for this Boko Haram upset?
I think the reason in my thoughts are injustice. A lot of injustice are done to the poorer people in the society.
But they're attacking the poor.
They are attacking the rich and the poor. They're attacking everybody. They just want to make the place unlivable for people. So that is it. So I think more it is injustice. The rich are not addressing the issue downward, and we need to energize this economy. We need to revert this economy to be a vibrant economy where every girl, boy will be happy on the streets. I think the ratio of rich and poor is very deep. In the north, in the south, it's even more in the southeast now.
Besides talking about your readiness to negotiate in the papers, have you made any constructive efforts to make this offer to government?
Well, I'm not government. I'm living at the back of government here now. So they know I'm ready. I can't make the offer for them. They should look for me.
Are you making any contact with Boko Haram?
Not yet, but once they are ready, the Boko Haram will make themselves known and will make contacts with them.
You're not scared of your life?
No. I'm created by God. Anywhere I die is the will of God. When I was governor, people asked me, were you not scared? I said, no.
So now that you have made the offer, and Boko Haram is not approaching you, and government is not approaching you, so how are you going to take the next step?
I'm sitting happily in my house. But this can be solved. Let's not take it to be, you know, in country have not bring Nigeria as one entity. Countries still see Nigeria as party, as who will take the glory. Who will take the glory in the country should die. The most important thing is the ability to achieve something. Like, you were in the team when we achieved the African Cup of Champions twice. You were there when people will attack me, when I was recruiting players from the north, from Yoruba, from Igbo. The team became Nigeria. And when you look at that team, you will remember Ojikalo. And that is how Nigeria should be. Because there are only 2-3 Igbos, there are only 2-3 Yorubas, there are only 2-3 Hausas. And we made a big team. And we broke the African Cup of Champions here twice, 2003, 2004. We were even going for 2005 before CAF knew they had no money to buy another cup. This is why they denied him by 2005 not to be champions. So we could have been carrying that gold cup. They have no $5 million to buy a new cup. This is why they stopped us with Ali of Egypt. We won them. Everybody saw it. We scored 2 clear goals from 38 meters, and the referee said it was offside. And at the end of the match, they gave them penalty. 5 minutes to go, they gave Ali in Egypt penalty to win us. So you can see we're already coming back home with the cup. So it's to the glory of God. You must put effort. People don't sit in the house and see goodness. You must make an effort.
What is your message to government and Boko Haram?
Government should come out quickly. Government should come out quickly and stop this menace. Government must make decisions now, not yesterday. Because people are dying. It could be your relations. If you are sitting comfortably, being guided by soldiers and SSS and people, you are not. They are not guiding your relations also. So it is good we come out quickly, like yesterday. We should not be shy about it. We should not pretend about it. It's a problem that we must solve. I don't want to be seeing government, people will tell government you must not negotiate. The Americans are negotiating with Taliban. This is the truth. I can tell you that. There must be negotiation with Boko Haram. Anybody, let our clergymen, church leaders, imams stop saying, no, you can't negotiate with them. No, we have to. Let them see the effect this menace is having on the economy and the people of and the blood being lost every day. The next blood might be the next person. I go to church every Sunday. I go to church inside the Catholic church down there. I mean, it could be me. It could be anybody. So let us stop it and live freely in our country. This is a country blessed by God. This economy is supposed to be one of the best performing economies in the world. And we are toying with it. This economy can go without oil. This economy is so blessed that we can go with natural resources and still be a world power. So we must come back home and stop deceiving ourselves, because both the holder and beholder are deceiving themselves. And we should not be living in the country of deceit. We should live in the country where we have belief. Some of the people advising our leaders are just advising because they want to advise and make money. This system should stop. People should love the country more than their pockets.
Dr. Oji Ozokalo discussing his intention to negotiate with Boko Haram. Next on our program is In Your Own Words with architect Ibrahim Bunu.
I was, at the time they took my CV, I was 31. This was in 1981. They took my CV in 1981 and appointed me in 1982, January. So I was already 32 at the time they appointed me. But it was just God's made one of those things. You are destined to go into politics. Otherwise, it wasn't my plan to go into politics. But when they asked me to become minister, I said, no, I didn't want to become. And they made me. I didn't see President Shagari in my life before, until the day he swore me in as minister. Well, I was put Minister of State, Housing and Environment, and the projects at that time were the housing was rural housing, or rather low-cost housing, which was the mass housing, was the program of the main program of the government, along with Green Revolution. And they had embarked on a lot of projects, most of which were not finished. And they were embarking on phase 2 when I came. So I had these challenges along with my minister. I was the Minister of State, of utilizing the little available resources in finishing some of the projects. And when the idea for embarking in under phase 2, 1,000 housing units in every state, I didn't let it go smooth. We said, okay, but the money is small, so let's start 200, or let's start in a number of. So this is how we started. While we were trying to finish the phase 1, we were regulating the start of phase 2 slowly, and most of the ones we started in phase 2 had finished before the coup came in.
How long were you minister under Shagari?
Under 2 years, a little less than 2 years. On February, I was sworn in on the 4th of February 1982, and until September 83, end of September 83.
You didn't come back to the cabinet?
No, I didn't come back. I didn't come back.
Okay, so of course they started the new government and then the coup.
Who came?
So where were you?
I was in Maiduguri doing my architecture, but they picked me also. They did. They did. They picked me on the night. They did the coup the night of 30th. The following day in the night, they came and picked me. In fact, at the time they brought me, they didn't even pick all those bigger ministers who had served the 2 terms. Because when they brought me to, maybe the SSS boss in Maiduguri were enthusiastic. And so he picked me and put me on a Peugeot 405, one rickety car, and drove through to Lagos. And when I arrived, I was the only person in detention at that time. For 5 days, nobody had come. I only met somebody who was detained from the National Supply Company for his own misdemeanors. And we were in the SSS quarters on Aolo Road for 5 days. And the SSS people had come, invited me for a dialogue. It was a panel. You know Mr. Horsfall. Yeah. He was the SSS boss at that time, Director General. And he had his deputies. They put me in the center in the kind of a parley. And it was a beautiful discussion. After that, they said they were satisfied that I should go. But I must be reporting monthly or something like that. So when they released me after 5 days, on the 6th day in the morning, I came to the airport. Then saw all those others being brought by air from their different places. That time I was going home. But then, for 3 months after, in April, they sent a letter and called me to come to explain something on what I did on FHA. They called me. So when I came, they said I should go to Kirikiri. So
they picked you again and said you should come to the SSS.
SSS. I should come to SIP, Special Investigation Panel. Yeah. And when I came, they told me, they didn't even talk to me. It was Ismaila Gorzo who was the boss. I wanted to see him. He refused to see me. He just sent some letter, and then the letter came, and they said, I drove myself to the office. Said, is this your car? I said, yes. Who came with you? I said, fortunately, I came with my friend. I said, I'm with my friend. I said, give him the car. Yeah, and follow us. I entered one bus with them, and then they kept on going until I saw the word Kirikiri. Now I knew I was going to Kirikiri, because my colleagues who came later were taken to Kirikiri. For the 3 months I was free, they were all in detention. So now they brought me to Kirikiri, and never to come out until change of government.
Really?
Oh yes, when they brought me in April 84. I didn't leave detention. They shifted me from Kirikiri, along with many others, to Oweri, and I was in Oweri until Babangida took over. President Shagari, you will only like him because he was a typical Fulani man who kept his judgment of you in his mind. Whether you were doing well or not well, he didn't say. If he found you doing well, maybe you would know by him asking you to do some other extra things, but you wouldn't know. And he was, one of the things that I admire about him is his patience. In council, President Shagari would wait until everybody has finished saying what he would say before he would say one word. There was one incident which I have told many people, that I don't mind repeating. It was on a project, contract which was brought by Minister of Water Resources, a dam project. And ministers were making their inputs, and they didn't want that project. He wanted the project, but he didn't say it. Everybody said they didn't want it. So finally, the council position was almost not to award the contract. So when it was his turn to speak, he said, since it is the council's wish let the decision be the council's wish. But he wanted to tell us why he wanted the project. Because he had, during campaign, he had promised these people that this dam would be done. When he visited them after he was sworn in, he also promised them that it would be done. And he wanted it to see it done. That's why he is in a hurry that this project will be done. But since it is council's decision, let the council decision stand. You know, that is the level of the kind of person Shagari was. You know, in the presidential system, the constitution knows the president is the only man with the power. Oh, yes. And appointees, ministers are appointees. But yet he gave in because that was the general view. That is the kind of person Shagari was, what I did. Shagari was very fair. When people speak of Shagari administration and they say corruption, they should have spared him. He wasn't. And let me tell you of another person, Dr. Alex Ikweme, who was the vice president, was also a very straight person. And I read in the newspaper during that tenure, people complaining that Dr. Ikweme awarded consultancy for Abuja projects to his companies. He did not award one project to his company, one single.
Conversation that we're having today. One of the biggest things that excited me was that you designed one of the biggest buildings in Abuja. When you pass through this building, what kind of feeling do you have?
Well, a mixed feeling. Mixed feeling because, first of all, a feeling of satisfaction that your project has been realized. In the life of an architect, there are several projects which, when you finish design, they are not constructed. You get these frustrations. So when one of such projects is put in place and is realized, you feel fully satisfied. But I have reservations because there are some elements of the design which haven't been implemented according to the design.
Let's even, because my listeners will be wondering, which project are we talking about?
I thought we were talking about NNPC headquarters.
Of course, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So.
Okay. The NNPC headquarters are trustworthy, reliable man.
The question I asked today is why in Nigeria we continue to chase shadows instead of the substance. After the attack on the SARS headquarters in Abuja, while many Nigerians looked out for constructive reassurances and clear-cut remedial measures, the police authorities were busy arguing whether those that escaped the police custody as a result of the attack were Boko Haram members or armed robbers. And I am asking, is it not bad enough that anyone, no matter the crime or misdemeanor, escaped from SARS custody? The most ridiculous part of the Abuja attack was that the police just engaged in mere damage control and image laundering. I think it was not only scandalous but embarrassing that Boko Haram beat every imaginable security and attacked SARS in Abuja and the church in Jaji. It is also painful that across Nigeria, many people are apprehensive because no one knows where the next attack will come from. Let the police quit this public relations gambit and address the real issues of defending the people and ensuring the safety of lives and property of helpless Nigerians who are serially killed and maimed on a daily basis. That's Frontline for today. But don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter, reach us on Facebook, email, or text. You can also watch us on frontlineng.com. Thanks for watching. I am Obiorilo from Abuja, Nigeria.